Hey everybody, welcome to G4G on YouTube. I'm your host, Napalm Dawn, and today we're in Marvel Duel. I wanted to go ahead and share a deck idea that I've had and have been playing for a little bit, but playing casually. It's what I call the Iron Army, and it is essentially a invocation deck for one of the Iron Man armors, and of course that's Prime Armor. The deal is, when you play a Stark Industries character card, copy that card's invocation skill, trigger it once. So the deck is really designed around getting Prime Armor out there, and then using as much of the invocations as I can within the Iron Man set of cards. There is one that is currently not in there, and that is the Tony Stark card. Mostly because I'm not exactly too sure how the interaction works on this. So, invocation, assemble an equipment card and give it to all other players. You gain battle gems equal to double the cost of that card. So, I mean, that's a wonderful burst of gems. But I'm handing everybody free equipment. I don't necessarily know that's worth copying, and that occupies the 4th slot, which is Superior Iron Man, which does have an invocation skill, and granted Crimson Dynamo, who doesn't. War Machine does not either. And then the suitcase is for when you sell characters. Now, suitcase could make sense, because if you drop some invocation cards that you just want to use once for the invocation, and then you don't give a shit about them afterwards, suitcase is handy. You can put the suitcase on somebody like Crimson Dynamo, who is probably going to sit around for a little bit, and it has to go on a support character. Really, that's the only support character that I have. I could do that, because, like, you drop Hydro Armor. Hydro Armor is only a 7. He gains power the first turn. Prime Armor replicates it. And then you ditch Hydro Armor. So it certainly works that you're keeping a lot of the suits going. So Extremis Armor has an invocation. Superior Iron Man has an invocation. Prime is the key. Stealth is another big key. And Iron Man himself is really there to counter the solo hella cheese. Suit up, add some cards. And if we look at the other possibilities for Iron Man, we go to Collection, we go to Iron Man, you'll see that Iron Patriot is the only invocation one that I am really missing. The belief is that Suit Up could potentially work for that. Nanotech Symbiote is okay, except for within the Iron Man family, there isn't really a lot of Guardians over there. So it's not like you could do a heck of a lot within the Iron Man setup himself. Now, if you had Guardians from your other cards, that is a little bit different. But believe it or not, with this deck, I actually don't run a lot of Guardian characters, except for over here on the Hella side of things. Right now, this deck for me on casual, not ladder, has been undefeated. And they have been resoundingly undefeated. But I will say that it is tough to get the match to go the way you want it to go all the time. It doesn't always work that way. The obvious thing would be to get to the invocation and start dropping invocation tunes. A lot of times, the way this deck is layered is that somehow it wins not really on the back of that as much. It just kind of wins. Really, the Hella components of this deck do a lot of work too. Although I do not run Helicheese. Helicheese Moonstone, I think is the name of it. So we're going to start off over here. Also, believe it or not, Nebula plays a pretty good role in this deck. So Nebula says when you pull the third character down, not when you summon the third character, but when you pull the third character out of the store, whoever's to her left gets an attack boost. It is really good in the early and mid game, and it makes for a lot of strategic play, which is actually kind of fun. I like working around my Nebula. Okay, this is a good store for this round. Put Claw out there, who buffs those two. Shield Agent gets a nice buff. Mask comes down. And now we are looking at double the reason for me to upgrade the store. I get the health, I get the armor. That is one of the best second rounds that I can hope for on this deck. There's a Nova over there, but we've got the sustain and the damage to get past this Nova. And this is in performance mode, so the animations are on. Just, it'll make it a little bit slower, but it makes it a little bit more fun and interesting. That is good. And there's Extremis armor, which is sort of not quite the best. It's a little early. I'll pull him down. But we want to hold on to him. We don't really... And that was, see, that was the third card that I pulled down. Nebula just boosted the agent, which is pretty handy. I'm not going to drop him right yet, because he has value on the drop, and we want to magnify that. Unlike a lot of characters who maybe don't have their value right when you drop them, say like Thorfrog, you drop him, you don't have really any equipment for him, he's not boosted with his attack and armor. So you like let him live for a little bit, and then you throw a Mjolnir on him or a Hofund or something. With this deck, you have to actually watch your drops a little bit. Well, I don't really have any Triumph. This is good. Actually, this is super good for this right now. I like Firepower a lot, but this is also solid. Now, sometimes what you do for this deck, you'll notice I have 5 cards out there. I'm only going to have 6 on the field. I don't have room for all of these cards up here. So what I'm going to do, that's 1 milled, that's 2 milled, and now here comes Destroyer, who activates Nebula. And we'll pull that down. So that's the fun of working around Nebula. She's going to cost you some gems sometimes, where you pull down garbage tunes out of your store just to activate her. But it's kind of fun to do, and it actually works out pretty well. And I stand corrected that Crimson Dynamo is not the only support I have in this deck. I keep forgetting about MetaMask and Nebula. This deck also really enjoys Falcon. When you drop Falcon, he gives an attack character an attack boost. And because you're cycling a lot of things out of your store while Nebula's on the field, and you're trying to buff your iron armors, Falcon plays a pretty good role. And there, you know, there we go. That's what we're talking about. Okay, so what we're going to do is, since he actually isn't tanking, I'm going to bounce him, which will allow me to set up Groot for the tanking. But what I'll do is drop Falcon, boost Destroyer. Gonna move Destroyer here temporarily. Gonna pull down Deathbird. And now he got the boost from Nebula. Trash Deathbird. Moving back all the way over here. It's fun. It's complicated and it's fun. It doesn't really do good when your timers are running really, really low. As you have a lot of playing around to do at times, but when you have the time to do it and play card shenanigans like that, it's definitely a lot of fun. At this point, we're getting around the stage where I need to start getting stronger cards on the field. The mid game is going to get a little sketchy at this point. Destroyer is going to be able to do, a decent amount of work. It's a Maverick situation for him, which is solid. It's what he's designed to do. But we don't want to necessarily rely on it. So Claw really should go. Oh, another Extremis armor. Very, very interesting. So what I'm going to do is this. That's that. So this is card 1. That's the final. That's the last time we need her. Get Destroyer on the other side of Nebula again. We still don't want to play him. And now we've activated him. Put Drax over here. And we're looking good. I don't want to make any other changes right now. Mask will live for this round because I don't really have any better cards to replace her. So she gets to live once more. And hopefully this will be a relatively easy round. Maybe not. That is a pretty beefy Iron Patriot over there.
You wanted it? You got it.
It's amazing how that Tony Stark sounds better than the Tony Stark in Marvel's Avengers. So, poor little Destroyer has got a lot of work to do for himself over here. But he's going to get it done. I don't want to rely on it, though. So again, the first thing I'm going to do is get him over here. Get rid of her. So we'll pull down Nova. Pull down Iron Man. Silver Swords are handy. Do the refresh. Alright, there's a... actually, there we go. So now he's boosted. Still don't have any invocations. However, Shield Guy should go.
Am I late? Traffic was terrible.
I mean, that sounds so good for Tony Stark, honestly. Even better than the one in Marvel's Avengers. Ooh, there's a Hela over there, but not really set up to be in a good Maverick position. Destroyer can't consume anybody with that axe because there's nobody there. And he's dead. Wow, Drax with Silver Swords is doing some work. See, this is what I mean. Like, this isn't really what this deck is supposed to be doing, but yet it's happening. Alright, so she Mavericks, which is pretty painful. And now we see the Hella Cheese. Now that's not Super Cheese where she's the only one out there, but Iron Man is the counter to it if that's what that person eventually starts doing. Oh, and there's Suit Up. Very, very interesting store over here. One that really isn't going to benefit Nebula too much. I'm going to pull Hawkeye down. But he's not really that helpful right now. Let's see what Suit Up gets me. Hulkbuster, who is not an invocation, but solidly built. I think it's time we bounce Nebula, and we get some power on the board over here. Let's see, Rallying Cry, what are you going to give us? Ooh. That's actually good, but I got to get to the point where I could use it. I need the key card to come out. So Iron Man's going to splash some nice damage over there. That's pretty good. So the other person's running a skill deck. Skill power deck. The Marvel.
You wanted me, you got me. Let's dance.
Yeah, it still sounds way better than Marvel's Avengers. Sorry, Crystal Dynamics and Square. This is why I wanted to get more power on the board. Even if it kind of destroys the theme of it, there comes a point where sticking to your theme doesn't really do you very good when you need to win rounds. I wonder how Spider-Man's going to sound on the PS4 from Marvel's Avengers, because that is a pretty good sounding Spider-Man. Oh, wow, Curse. Oh, wow, Hyperion. Oh, wow, Call to Arms. Things are very interesting at this point. Red Hulk benefits a couple characters, but my Drax is super beefy at this point. Oh boy, here we go. I really could use like a support missile over here. Beef up my two yellows a little bit. I think I'm gonna mill. I've got to mill him down here. Nice. Nice shot from Iron Man. That wrecks half the plan.
You wanted me, you got me. Let's dance.
Ooh, wow. Consumed Hella. Huh. That deserves an emote. So yeah, that's the power of Iron Man when you try to have a bunch of Mavericks like that. That really screwed up the plan. So yeah, there's the attempt at my my Iron Army, which is an invocation deck. Like I said, it doesn't always go the way you intend. But not to get all Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes you have to believe in the heart of the cards and let the cards tell you what it wants to do. And hey, look at that. One level off of Iron Patriot, which definitely should have a spot in the deck. I had all those invocation cards waiting in the wings to get dropped just so that Prime Armor would get that boost. Iron Man did a nice job over there, so what you saw happen was that I was defeating the lowest power opponent and I was splashing 20 damage, which was also taking out opponents, which really, really screwed up that person's plan. Suit Up gave me a Hulkbuster armor, which isn't even in the deck. So, as Suit Up says, add a random Stark Industries character card with a star level 2 that you don't already own into your hand. So, I think that honestly, what that's coming down to is it's saying cards that aren't in that game. And that's why I pulled Hulkbuster armor. Now, there was a thought that it might pull Iron Patriot, because I literally do not own Iron Patriot, but I think this card's parameter has to do with the battle only. So it would pull in a Stark Industries card that wasn't in the battle, like Whiplash, like Hulkbuster armor, like Silver Centurion, like War Machine. That's pretty much what I'm thinking it would do, but I originally thought, based on some discussions with a few people, that it would pull in cards in the Iron Man universe that I actually did not own. And so we were thinking like Iron Patriot would come in. And that's like really the only thing that I own in there. Assemble, or don't own, excuse me. Assemble a star level 1 copy of a character from all friendly players. Give a star level 1 copy of that card. Huh. Yeah, that's one of the dual modes. It doesn't have much play. The Silver Centurion Blade definitely could have a spot in my deck, except for the fact that it's a 5. And my 5 drops are the very important Prime Armor and Stealth Armor, so unfortunately the Blade doesn't make it in. Anyway, so that's my attempt at a invocation deck using Prime Armor. Yeah, what are you going to do? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So let me know what you think of the deck. Let me know if I had any gross misplays in there, or if you think there's any changes that I should get into. Guardians is mostly support, but then again, Drax was doing a ton of work. Hela is sort of the backup plan. Ebony Blade is pretty solid. Loki Scepter is also a lot of fun. Hush Now is a little bit of protection. Over here, I have some protection from Opening Act also, but I didn't pull it. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Have a good one.